To order. This is a work session. The Mayor and Borough Council of Borough Seaside, Park County, Ocean, State of New Jersey, held on Thursday, August 15th, 2024, advertised for 7 p.m. Pursuant to the provisions of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting was properly provided by transmitting the notice of meeting for publication in the Asbury Park Press and the Star Ledger on January 5th, 2024. Notice of the meeting of the governing body also has been posted in the corridor of the municipal building and in the office of the municipal clerk. Roll call.
Councilmember Anfield?
He will not be here this evening.
Thank you. Councilmember Condos?
Here.
Councilmember Connor?
Here.
Councilmember Kraft?
Here.
Councilmember Rotunda?
Here.
Council President Wilk?
Here.
Mayor Pearson?
Here.
Thank you.
The first item is discussion of an amendment to the personnel manual. It's listed as Resolution 2024-267 for consideration at the regular meeting. And this cleans up as a result of action taken previously through the relevant committees. We instituted savings in changing our health benefit program, and this dovetails into the portion of the manual which would reflect that as well.
Right, I think we talked about this one at the last session. This is where, if anybody's spouse or otherwise is also in the same program, they're entitled to that waiver, which was not as clear now that we've changed out of the state program.
Yes.
So this cleans that up.
It does. We need it in the manual to make it.
Yep.
Yep.
And the next item also had been discussed for a period of time, and that entails first reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 405 entitled Streets and Sidewalks, listed for introduction as Ordinance 202422 on the regular meeting. And this has come about as a result. It started with at least two properties, if not more, on the bayfront side of town, and it was addressed by the individual homeowners to at least provide a measure of pushback toward waves and wave attenuation and flooding. And temporarily, the issues related to the properties are on hold because at least one of them had done a lot of research and looked all throughout the town, and there are a number of such, they're called, for want of a better term, knee walls, but they're in all segments of the town, many of which may have been there as a result of projects approved otherwise with other permits, some perhaps not, some, if the word is grandfathered in, been there for years and years. And what this entails is a authorization from the community. I know when you look at the survey to your individual property, your lot line, it's often a surprise to people, does not go all the way out to the sidewalk. It stops short. Marty, better expert, how short it's a couple feet, but
yeah, a couple more. There depends. There's no consistency to it, Mayor.
Yeah.
Every lot and every block is a little different. So the difference would allow, this ordinance would allow that retaining wall, knee wall, to go to the sidewalk. That's basically, anything that's being built now is only supposed to be within your property, which would mean it would go to your property line, except for, of course, a walk or your consistency for a driveway or something like that. But this would allow I always call it a retaining wall, with the flood control management that we have in town for projects and everything else. It's only makes sense to allow it to the sidewalk to give you that buffer for the waves, or especially on the bayfront or inside the blocks at this point.
Right.
Because if you only had it to your property line, then you have to your property line to the sidewalk, which could be 2 feet, it could be 3 feet, in some cases it could be a little bit more.
Right.
That you still have to worry about that area to maintain.
Right. Marty, help me with the term verge in there. Is that
Verge is the extra space between your property line and it would be public space.
Okay.
There's no, like,
Well, there's a definition of bank, but it doesn't really.
It doesn't, I was,
Yeah, it says
yeah.
defined as a
Well, that's
5-foot area
from the
extending on the
property
edge
into
of
the
the
sidewalk.
impervious pavement
well,
of the right of way.
no, it's your property line to the curb.
I know, it's very
Well, I
hard.
do, but
But this
that's
is,
all right.
basically works this way. Zoning works from the curb up, and the police work from the curb out. It's, you know, and they kind of, that's how we always put it in for
Gotcha.
zoning issues.
Okay.
Zoning takes care of from the curb up.
So the.
Okay.
And what this wouldn't do is change in any way our currently existing and long-time fence ordinance.
Right.
So it,
Yeah, I was just
in
gonna
other
bring that
words, a
up.
fence does have to be, can only go out to your property
Property line.
line, not to the
It's a
sidewalk.
setback, which is, I thought I had, and I thought that would be the same.
Yeah.
But I was a little unclear as to the definition of a verge from
Then we do have a couple little
the wording of it in, yeah.
adjustments to make because this does conflict with our site triangle ordinance. So we'll address that one next. The site triangle is 18 inches and we're allowing this to be 24 inches. So that ordinance we'll have to make adjustment to also.
Okay.
So that one we should refer to Barry's office with Steve to look at. This one came with the planning board's attorney having copied Steve's office, and the reason being, obviously, any zoning ordinance has to get referred to the planning board of the municipality for its review. That the board doesn't necessarily have to agree, but in this case, I believe they do. But that review process has to have taken place before it can come back to us for a second reading. So,
And we are encouraging people to raise their properties, you know, with the height for flooding, so
Right.
this, it just would be consistent. The only other change I would mention, and I'm sure I'll bring it up on Monday also, is that in the wording, it basically says it can be made out of concrete and it lists everything, but it doesn't allow for landscape timbers. It doesn't allow for wood, so we have to add that in there.
So that'll get added under B?
Yeah, on the B.
so that would.
Just my suggestion, it doesn't, it's very specific, but it doesn't say landscape timber.
No, it doesn't say that.
It uses a term you could interpret, it says wall, doesn't it? So-
Yeah, but I'm just, well, like I
I
say,
don't-
if you, I want it as clear as possible.
I think you're correct, yeah, I saw that. So that ought to get emailed to, because it's going to be on the agenda.
No, it's not under B.
Plan
It's
board
Not
for
B,
Monday.
not there?
Well, it's gonna be under,
It's right where it defines what a knee wall is.
Oh,
Masonry or
C2.
brick structure or wall, it doesn't say what's, that wall's constructed of. See that one on the second
On this
page?
page, Marty, down
yeah, I
to
got
C2.
my,
Oh,
my,
yours is
Four,
printed
five,
different?
28
Mine
at
at
the
home.
bottom, it talks about the
yeah.
definition.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah, it says brick structure or wall constructed. That's just my recommendation, that you would allow landscape timber.
You're saying add?
No, it could be also, it could be constructed out of wood or landscape timber.
Yeah, if you could email that perhaps to Greg Hawk's office.
Yes, I will.
That would make
And then-
sense, that landscape.
But
Then
the landscape
Steve would have
timber,
to
then it's
assist
not really a
with
very
Jenna
good
with
wall
publication.
for holding back the waters.
If it's done correctly, it will work, believe it or not.
Okay.
It would have to be done correctly, but yes, it will
At least
survive.
the property owners have a choice, and if they, yeah, which is fine. Yeah.
Anything else from council on that first reading? That's on the agenda also. And I know Marty referenced elevation of properties. It's obviously a big topic. It's a very important topic. We had a meeting today that went for a long period of time with the beach mayors, the 9 towns. One town wasn't represented, but that being Tom's River. But that being said, one of the topics, and we're within the comment period, I don't have the materials in front of me, but offices of 2 of the legislative districts were there. And you may have seen it was in the Asbury Park Press, as within the last week, they talked about the DEP has proposed new regulations that require, they would, if they're adopted, require an additional 5 feet elevation of every home. And obviously, we get a lot of criticism here why the homes are so elevated already that was a mandate from the state. This is going to increase it, and apparently that drew a lot of criticism. A couple of the mayors had been aware of it, and Lavallette's mayor was there, and they've already passed a resolution raising questions about it, and the group was suggesting that we consider that action. We're within the comment period for the DEP right now, and I don't have it with me, but you could read, it's within the last week if you Google Asbury Park Press, as much as the paper justifiably gets criticism for never covering any of the towns anymore. This one was a coastal issue, and they did have an article about it, and the regulations, according to some of the mayors there that had already looked at it within the last week, say there are very strict regulations about the steps going into home, how you can even configure them to go winding up and over, just to comply if this were adopted to add another 5 feet. So
is this a option or a requirement?
it's going, if it's passed as it's intact right now, would be a mandate. And they'll say that they're not following a philosophy, but that was the general theme of all the mayors there. And there were mayors of different political parties, different sized towns, big ones, small ones, they were all, and they're not saying it, they're not using the word again, but the retreat theory is there, that they are frowning upon or discouraging people from living on the barrier islands. And that's real, they're not going to say it, but apparently at least one of the mayors had conversations already with the DEP on it, and somebody even admitted to that. But it's something we should be very aware of and look at. It's out there.
And the other twist to this is people that raised their homes and brought them up to conformity for their flood insurance, they would be non-conforming again because the elevation has changed.
Yeah, that's,
So you'd have to raise it again,
No,
not
so-
even just.
No,
new homes,
the
just
insurance would go back up again because now it's non-compliant again.
yeah, so there are a lot of unanswered questions that were raised at this meeting, so we should be looking at it.
Okay. Well, this is why I dropped flood insurance.
Yep.
If you have a
If you're lucky
mortgage,
enough to be able
you
to
don't
do
have
that.
that option.
Right, exactly.
Any other work session items from council?
No, Mayor.
If not, we'll go into the audience. Any items, any comments on any of the work session items from, yes, Shirley?
I'll just comment. Shirley Crystal, 700 North Basin Avenue, thank you for the wall being able to go up higher, because I'm contemplating another layer of block, and I'm glad you have considered us. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Any other comments on the work session? If not, I would entertain a motion from council to adjourn the work session and then take a moment, go right into the regular.
I'll second it.
Motion by Councilmember Connor and second by Councilmember Kraft. Anyone opposed?
No?
Hearing none, we'll take a brief moment and then begin our regular meeting.